Okay, so this is a new hike for us. This is the Arroyo Seco Trail, and luckily the fire danger is quite low today. So I don't know if I have shared with you that I didn't really feel like doing it. As a matter of fact, that my entire drive over here, I was just resisting, and I just really didn't want to, and I still don't want to be out there. But I have just dragged myself out here with the expectation that it's not going to be so bad. Actually, as I understand this trail, this is going to be a pretty easy, if you can call it that, long hike. This is expected to be about 20 miles. So, yeah, it's hard to call 20 miles easy. The reason I say it's easy is because if you compare it to, for example, San Gorgonio. And San Gorgonio is not that bad for a 20-mile hike either. Because this thing is going to gain about 3,000 feet in that distance. Well, not the 20, half that distance. So that's not too bad of an elevation gain. When in some places, like our last hike to Old Baldy, what was it, mile 2 to 3 was like 1,000 feet of elevation gain. Or when you take Register Ridge to Baldy, some of that is like 1,200 feet of elevation gain. So all of that can be quite serious. Whereas here, not going to be that bad. So the only thing that's going to get us is going to be the distance. So, and luckily, I actually was expecting that today was going to be at least a little sunny, but it's almost like drizzly, which means I probably brought too much water. I brought a little over 2.5 liters of water. So, but at this pace, at this rate, I will probably not even finish half my water. But I guess it's best to over-prepare, because last time I had too little on the Old Baldy Trail, and this time I might have too much. Oh well, it's not that heavy. Well, it's a little heavy, but it's not that bad. So I don't expect it should be too much of a problem. So let's get started. So this is a little over a mile into the trail, and this is like one of those amusement park type trails. I don't know. That's the only way I can describe it. It's one of those tourist-friendly trails. This is I think I only gained like 50 feet in elevation, so nothing really. Just whatever the normal streets are. It was first mile. A lot of it was like paved. It's only in the past quarter mile that I've had dirt road so far, and even this dirt road. Look at this. This stuff is like somebody maintains this stuff, because it's not just dirt. It's like soft wood, like that wood that they put in circuses to keep the floor feeling nice for you. So I mean, this place it's I would almost say it's curated, pedicured. I don't know what the word would be. Here I was worrying, as you can tell from my protection here. I'd read that somebody said that they saw a bear out here. I mean, maybe. I can't discount it. That's why I brought this. I mean, will it completely protect me from it? Of course not. But at least the guy's gonna get a few scars if he messes with me before he kills me. But no, this is an absolutely, like, it is just so, this is where I would take, let me put it this is where I would take my mother on a hike. Which is great, by the way. So there are different hikes for different people. They're the ones where you would take your worst enemy. Actually, I was thinking, would that be Cactus to Claus? No, although maybe. And there are hikes where you would take your mother. And then there are even hikes that, this one, so far, I would even say this is wheelchair accessible, which those of you who haven't heard me talk about it before, I think we should have more of those. Because many of those people with disabilities, they're badasses. I take my hat off to them. They will conquer places that the rest of us could not believe they did. And I believe we should make more trails that are accessible to them. Just so that I can be amazed at how much they do. I tip my hat to you folks. Those of you who overcame, and they almost always overcome. So I shouldn't even say those. Pretty much every one of them that I've seen. It's just an amazing thing, and they should have more trails to enjoy themselves. Give them more access. So yes, it's nice, easy, friendly, and it's green. This is way too well. It's the rain. It's the rain that's been happening lately. This would not be anywhere near as green normally, so I should also understand that. But awesome. Look at this. They even made a swing out here. This is like it feels like some rich person's personal garden, which in a way is good because it's public. You know, this thing is like, look at this. These are like climbing ropes. This isn't just any kind. So it's well maintained because this kind of stuff you don't find anywhere. And I do hope they keep it nice. So respect the stuff so others will enjoy it. Have a little swing here. So because of the rain, there is a lot of wet trails, which is funny because this trail is called the Arroyo Seco Trail, which stands for a dry rivulet. It's supposed to be a dry riverbed, not full of water, but oh well. I guess it's a good thing I brought my sandals. Well then, we've reached the campsite, Angeles Cold Mesa Campground. Boy, it almost reminds me of, like I said, some of those really nice walking trails. Very nice. You gotta try it. At least when it's not summer hot, because I imagine this isn't gonna be too pleasant, although look at all that water. You should come here. I say that because right now, because I'm guessing most of the time there's nothing there. It's not called Arroyo Seco for nothing. It's probably usually so dry that you don't need anything to walk through that. As you can tell, some of this part of the trail actually feels like maybe it used to be a sidewalk. I don't know, maybe 100 years ago. Because it feels like it's like a very long time ago. Look at all this cement, all these rocks here. And there was a little more back there, but that's why I found it a little interesting. But this is an absolutely spectacular trail. It is not difficult. I think we've only gained like 500 feet in the last almost 3 miles, I think. I'll put it there. The telemetry will take care of it for me. But the views here, amazing. I'm trying to imagine what this place normally is because, like I said, this is unusually wet weather in Los Angeles. So I would expect this trail would not look this much like a jungle like it looks right now. But it still would be pretty awesome. Okay, so we finally actually start to get, as you might notice, I did do a little bit of a wrong turn there at the campsite, but then I got back on trail and we are starting to do the real hike, I guess. Or at least the gain in altitude. Even this isn't that aggressive of a gain in altitude. I don't know, I'll check. But that's where we came from. So I think this trail has originally been considered a dry creek. Remember, it's called Arroyo Seco. And I say it because, as you notice, the first parts at the beginning, there were lots of bridges. There were like maybe a dozen bridges. I don't know. But now there are no bridges. And so like every few hundred feet, I'm crossing the stream. There is a trail here, but it's interesting, like I said. So yeah, if you don't want to be crossing streams, this probably will not be fun. But like I said, in my case, I don't mind it. Just have shoes that can deal with it, I guess. Or that'll dry out like my sandals. Okay, so we look like we have a couple more miles to go. And I thought I'd at least share some of my first impressions of this hike. Oh, look, the stream is back. This is like a small version of the stream, actually. So, as I've said before on other hikes, every hike has its interesting character, and this is no exception. The first 4 miles, as we were walking through, as you noticed, it just looked totally curated, and it's absolutely beginner friendly. And then once we make the little detour off the campsite is when this genuine hiking trail begins. And even then, it is not that monstrously difficult, but it's still a bit of a challenge, you know. Like here, where are we? So we have to find our way. And there are parts that are like this, by the way, where the trail is just not obvious. There's a lot of overgrowth in some parts, so that's a part of what makes it difficult. So here, I'm going to try to see. I'm wondering if I'm just going to have to crawl the actual stream itself. I'm guessing I will. So, okay. Let's take the stream. Because a lot of this, of course, you might say, well, just follow the stream. Well, there's actually a couple of forks that have already happened. So that by itself would not have saved you from trouble. I still have to look around and see if I see a trail. There it is. So yes, the trail was going, the stream was part of the trail here. That's what I said. Well, actually, look, it looks like there's been some cutting down of stuff, so. But yeah, there is quite a bit of, what would you call it, overgrown and difficult to determine trail around here. It's nice, it's beautiful. The stream running beside is just absolutely refreshing. The plants growing over the trails, though, on some parts, and then the trail will cross the river multiple times too, so it has slowed me down. I've made a couple of wrong turns and had to turn around. And then there have been sections that have been quite easy to figure out. So it's a mix. Sections that are easy, sections that are hard to figure out. Aerobically, this isn't much of a challenge. Well, it's a normal challenge. I shouldn't say much, because it is. Of course it is. But I mean, this isn't gonna break your heart rate monitor. But it will work out your legs. Okay, so we are about a half mile away from our furthest, from the end of the trail. You know, the funny thing is, I'm actually not aware of what is at the end of this trail. It doesn't look like it's going to be a peak. As I said, this is my first time doing it, which sometimes actually can be really, really exciting. Could it be dangerous? Yeah, it could be dangerous, but I don't take any this trail is. But we will see. It's funny because now this last mile and a half have started to punish me with elevation gain. So, and the sun has even come out a bit more. Although now I'm on the shady side of the mountains, so not a problem again. But let's see where this trail ends. See you there in about 15 minutes. Heard some people down there, so sounds like there's life out here. Oh, I reached the other side. That's pretty good. I actually still have almost about a mile to go, though. So, dumb on me. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Oh, so no wonder when I was getting closer to here, I noticed that there were more and more people, and it started to look like, yeah, like a campground. That makes sense. So this is where our trail ends. Now, the return. Oh. Actually, I don't mind these next couple of miles. It's going to be the Gabrielino Trail. It's going to be those parts where it's wet and it's like really bushy. And actually, really my other big concern, let me set my lap counter. The problem though is going through these mountains, my lap counter has been going out of whack. So it's not measuring very well. Oh well. Let us enjoy a little bit of water before we have to make it all the way back to JPL. Okay. And the thing is, I don't have much time to break because, if I'm not mistaken, sunset is in a little less than 4 hours. Ain't gonna make it that. It's kind of interesting. One thing about this trail is the many different environments that I've been going through. The one at the beginning, which was like that wet river, what is it, lacustrine? No, something like that. Anyway, then parts of it which were like riverbed. Then up here, it's almost like at the end of the trail, as you noticed, it was more forest-like. And then back here, we have kind of almost like desert-like. So it's just interesting seeing all of the little environments and the different places, different things, even different plants that you don't see in one place that you'll see in the other. So right now, I'm trying to speed it up a little, so I won't get too much dark, because I don't know how many miles I actually have to get back. It's either, I'm guessing it's about 11 to 11 and a half miles. And if I have 3 hours to dark, even if I was going, a great pace would be 3 miles per hour. And that in 3 hours would only get me 9 miles. That would be cool, by the way, because the last 2 miles are, you remember, they're very easy and very friendly, so that wouldn't be a problem. But I don't think I'll be able to sustain 3 miles an hour all the way, mostly because of the overgrown parts. They will slow me down just because they're overgrown. We'll see. I also don't want to endanger myself. Remember, the miles that I've already been doing will start to tire my legs, and I have to take that into account too. So we'll see. Check out the rocks and the weeds. This isn't as bad. There was some parts back there that were way more overgrown. I mean, it is, you can still pass it. It's just, you gotta step through all the high grass, which, yes, it does worry me. Am I gonna get some ticks? Although, thankfully, out in this part of the state, they're not much of a problem. Nevertheless, of course I'm going to check myself when I get back. So have I told you lately that my legs are tired? This, as I said, the elevation wasn't that bad. But, I mean, what can you expect? It actually feels kind of refreshing to walk through these streams once in a while. Considering how tired I am. And it's a good thing that they're not like cold. Well, not super cold. I mean, they're probably like as cold as the ocean here. But, you know, it's not like mountain cold. That would be terrible. Yeah, but I'm already... My legs are not happy. I got 1 hour till sunset, which it looks like at least I will make it to the nice path, to the nice trail, probably by then. So at least that's good. Back picnic area, which means the nicer trail continues. Ugh. Well, yeah. Oh well. Let's keep going. Okay, so it is just sunset about 4 or 5 minutes ago, and I've got about 2 miles left. So as you can tell, the trail is pretty much going to be nice from here on out. I expect I should finish those next 2 miles in the next 40 minutes. So it shouldn't get too dark. I might even be able to make it without needing my headlight. What a concept. But how am I feeling? Oh my God. I don't even want to think about it, because if I do, what I'm doing is I'm just, as I normally will do right now, is I'm going to put on some good music. What's good for me is good for me only. It would probably bore you, so just imagine what you like and you grooving to your stuff. Well, that's what I do. I groove to my stuff. That distracts me from how painful, how sore, how tired my legs are. Because they are. This is, wow. Okay, so we are done with the Arroyo Seco hike, and I still think it's funny, the name, because it means a dry riverbed when the whole thing was just super wet, which probably has more to do with the unusually rainy season that just passed by. Most of the time it probably would be pretty dry. So just keep that in mind. Your shoes are going to get wet. You just can't help that. Even within the first 3 miles, you're going to get it. All throughout the whole thing. I mean, the whole thing, it just follows the river. So keep that in mind. I brought my sandals, which on the one hand were a benefit because going through, like I said, going through the wet and everything, it's easier that way. But I'm going to tell you one thing, and that is my feet got messed up a bit. They got scratched up because of all the overgrown plants. So there was a plus and a minus to bringing sandals. But, you know, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'll just, you know, put a little bit of lotion and a little bit of antibiotic, make sure. I don't think there's going to be any real problem. So other than that, that was a little over 22 miles and 3,000 feet of elevation gain, which isn't too much. I mean, it's not like 5,000 like San Gorgonio, but the mileage is just going to wear you out. And that's what it did. It's just, I am worn out. You know, it's just 22 miles. No matter, I mean, you know, so that is tough. And that's something you just can't avoid. But at the same time, I would say if this is, you want to take a long hike and it's not going to be, you don't want something too tough, try this, except, of course, like I said, some of those overgrown parts, they might mess with you a bit, so keep that in mind. They're not the worst, but, you know, it's not bushwhacking, but it's going to scratch you a bit, so not that much fun. Other than that, though, the other thing, also the environments. As I told you, it was like 4 or 5 different environments there, and I was just, wow. There were all kinds of different plants and life. I mean, it really had a lot of beautiful flora and fauna of all kinds in each of the places. You know, all the way, making it all the way to the end, to the forested part. There were little tadpoles in the river, and then coming back, as you noticed, there was a frog on the way back. So a lot of wonderful parts. The very beginning of this trail, even if you don't want to do the whole thing, if you just do the very beginning, that alone will be awesome. As I showed you, the trail is just beautiful, and it's very beginner friendly. So you would probably enjoy just doing that. So other than that, this was a tough because of the mileage, but it's accessible for most people. So you should consider trying it, because as I always say, don't forget to challenge yourself.
Your faith is transforming.